Welcome back. Right now we are joined by Cristina Curp. She's a nutritional therapy practitioner joining us all the way from Hawaii. But she has written cookbooks and has delved deep into food, nutrition, how it affects our bodies and our minds, and many other things. Cristina, thanks for being here today. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me.
I'm very excited to talk with you. I'd love to hear kind of your journey with food and how it began and how it's evolved over time.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was a restaurant chef in my early 20s, and I always worked at like farm to table, kind of mom and pop joints. So I dabbled in like cooking gluten-free or like vegan things or just kind of, lots of veggies. But after I had my son, and I think this is an experience that a lot of women go through, I got so sick, and symptoms that I had felt that were kind of chronic symptoms, which I didn't know back then were related to autoimmune disease, because now that's becoming more common. But for those of us who grew up in like the 80s and the 90s, not so much. And so after I had my son, I was 29 going on 30, and I couldn't make it through a day without napping. My joints hurt. I have a inflammatory skin condition called Hidradenitis Suppurativa, which causes like abscesses and boils in like delicate areas. And it's something that a lot of people deal with, but no one talks about because it's embarrassing. And so that got out of control. And I just had this baby that I wanted to be healthy for. And so as a chef, I took to the kitchen to see what I could do to feel better. And I kind of jumped into this rabbit hole of like ancestral health. And it started with like paleo, and I did a Whole30, and I kind of never came out of that rabbit hole. And I ended up going back to school studying nutrition, because I was able to put all my symptoms in remission just by changing the way I ate. And I guess the way I don't want to say just the way I ate. It was like a whole lifestyle overhaul, but it was completely life altering in every way possible. And I'm so passionate about now teaching that to other people and sharing that with others, because it's completely life changing in all the best ways.
It's really admirable and just incredible that you were able to change your outlook, change the severity of your condition all through food. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about the type of food that you do cook and the type of recipes that we would find in your cookbooks.
Yeah, so I'm very big on the ancestral template, and it kind of makes sense because I have my bachelor's in sociology and anthropology. But when you think about the fact that like our DNA, humans, as like we haven't evolved that much in the last 10,000 years. So we're very much primal beings living in a modern world. And so I felt that if going back to just the basics, like food, how our great great grandparents ate it, like plants and animals from the earth and unprocessed, is the way to go. So the basis of my recipes are that is the foundation on which I build like my I call like the big umbrella. And then beyond that, people with autoimmune disease, we tend to react to weird things, like not the typical, oh, corn, gluten, soy, dairy. I'm talking like nightshades, which are tomatoes, potatoes, eggplant, peppers, or nuts or eggs. So it's a little more specific. So I've kind of used different protocols, like the autoimmune protocol, which omits all these foods. And I've also taken a little bit from maybe a little lower carb. Like a lot of people have done keto and seen great benefits from lowering their carbohydrates, and made this recipes that kind of fit into different dietary needs to help people lower their inflammation, figure out what foods they're reacting to, and also like balance their blood sugar, their hormones. So that's the basis of it. But what I always say about my food is that you're not going to realize what's missing, because I'm Cuban, I'm Cuban American. I love to season my food. I love bold flavors. I love food. Like I really love food. So this isn't like rabbit food by any means. It is flavorful. It is yummy. It is saucy. It has great textures and colors. It's still exciting. And my motto is always like, you should love the food that loves you back. I think that's super important. Part of the healing process is enjoying the food that you're eating and not feeling like you're restricted. So that's what I do. And that's what my books are about, and my website, and like the kind of recipes I share. It's just really good stuff, but that's really good for you.
And as you mentioned, this diet and the food that you cooked has helped with your skin condition. Also mentioned it helps others with autoimmune diseases. But at the same time, really anyone who wants to embrace more of a healthy diet can benefit from your recipes and can kind of find the ones that really work well with their personal goals with nutrition.
Yeah, absolutely. I have people, I mean, I've been able to kind of amass a large social media following over the last few years, sharing this stuff online and through my blog and like Instagram, and now I'm on TikTok. Oh my goodness. But I find that a lot of people, regardless of their goals, whether it's just to have more energy, to sleep better, to again, like people with diabetes or people who just have joint pain, to feel better and to like regulate digestion. We've really normalized so many things. Like, people are taking aspirin and Motrin and, like Tylenol, pain relievers, and acids on a regular basis, just like, oh, no big deal. Just, but that's not normal. We shouldn't have to live with the aches and the creeps and like, indigestion. Like that's not, we've normalized it, but it's not normal. So when you kind of really tune into your body and fuel it the way it needs to be fueled, you're going to all of a sudden be like, whoa, I thought I was operating at 100, but I was really operating at like 60, 70%. And then when you get to 100%, you're like, I feel superhuman. And I really love having that reaction from people when they're like, I didn't know I could feel this good.
Now, I really am impressed by your philosophy of food, the anthropology to it, the ancestral links to it as well. I know you're also military family and you've lived all over the country. You mentioned that I believe you're from Florida. You have your own roots in Cuba. So how have all of these pieces evolved for not only your recipes, but how you cook day to day?
So with the moving around, it's been interesting because what I can find like locally or fresh in like Hawaii, for example, or even in Miami where I'm from is different. So when we were living, let's say somewhere up north, like when we were in northern, like the DC, Virginia area, all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, it's winter. Like it's cold. I don't want to eat salad. I want soups and stews. And I had never lived anywhere with seasons before. So I found that that was very interesting because it really impacted the way that I cooked. And I always saw people talking about like stews and, winter food. And I had no idea. So that was kind of new for me. But it's been great because since I write recipes for like people who live anywhere, it's really helped me living in different places, be able to create recipes with ingredients that people can find all over the place and also variations. So that's one thing you'll see about my recipes is that there's always a substitution. Like, hey, you can't find this. That's okay. Let's use this instead. Because I really like to make healthy eating accessible to all people. And, what's interesting with the military perspective, because oftentimes when you move around with the military, you also tend to be around other military families, is that, especially military spouses, we tend to, oftentimes be single parents a lot of the times while our spouses are deployed, we're moving kids from school. So I've also learned to simplify my recipes where when I was just cooking for myself and for fun as a chef, I could go crazy and like 25 ingredients. I didn't care. But thinking about parents, busy parents, kids, people, working jobs and feeding the family at the end of the day, I really learned to like take these amazing flavors, but like have the same result with much simpler like instructions and ingredients.
And before we're out of time, I want to also mention you're an entrepreneur. You've created this business out of food, your social media following, your cookbooks, all on your own. Any advice for other people that have the same passion for food and research and food as medicine as you do, as far as if they want to create something like you have?
Yeah, the biggest thing is to be consistent and be authentic and be yourself. It does seem like there's so much noise out there, but I always tell people there's always room at the table for more. It's very like collaborative, not competitive. So if you're passionate about something and you show up authentically day after day, you're going to be successful. I really believe that.
And Cristina, where can we find more information about you, pick up your cookbooks, follow you on social media, as I mentioned, and get even more recipes and continue this conversation?
Awesome. Yeah. So my website, thecastawaykitchen.com, has tons of free recipes, hundreds of them. And my cookbooks are available anywhere books are sold, Made Whole and Made Whole, Made Simple. They're on Amazon or Barnes and Noble and just, in a lot of bookstores. And again, social media, I'm at the Castaway Kitchen. You can find me anywhere. I'm on all the channels and I'm always sharing new recipes and information tips.
And in our last few seconds, what's your favorite thing to cook? Best recipe?
Oh my goodness. Okay. I just did a whole like Cuban themed week because it's Caribbean Heritage Month. So I would say I really love making my carne asada meatballs with like a yellow cauliflower rice that just like convinces people that cauliflower rice can actually be delicious.
Oh my goodness, that sounds amazing. I'll be right over. Well, thank you so much, Cristina Curp. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. I can't wait to find out more about you, get your cookbooks, maybe try and create some of these beautiful recipes, and really appreciate how much you use food as medicine, how you look at the ancestry behind it, anthropology, all these things that have come together. So thank you so much for your time with us today right here on Park City Television. We'll be back with more right after this.